This is TRNN reporting for the Real News Network in St. George's, South Carolina. The Democratic establishment says that Joe Biden has a firewall here in South Carolina, but the black voters we spoke with said the Democratic establishment doesn't speak for them.
A lot of it is to do with how black voters have been portrayed throughout history as just like they just vote blue and they just vote for a Democrat, whoever it is.
For decades, establishment Democrats have expected black voters to provide an electoral firewall for their pick for president.
A lot of black movements and a lot of black things have happened in spite of a lot of the establishment stuff.
Black voters say it's an odd expectation given the party's penchant for policies that hurt them.
How could you look at the policies that Bernie talks about and think that they aren't relevant to the black community? Like, how could that even be possible?
And nowhere was that contradiction more evident than in South Carolina, where party leaders hailed Joe Biden as heir apparent despite losing 3 primaries in a row. Voters on the ground weren't so sure.
I don't think anybody's running away with this right now. I think it's confusing right now.
That divide was evident here in a place called Campbell Thicket, a rural community an hour outside of Charleston. The Real News followed Brian Charlo, who is canvassing for Bernie Sanders. A South Carolina transplant, he now lives in New York, but he returned to his home state to connect with black people here. He says part of the problem is the mainstream media depicts black voices as monolithic, a characterization that misses the complexity of what's happening on the ground.
It's a large media corporation. You're a part of a culture of privileged people. You're a professional managerial class. You have quite a bit of money. You don't talk to people like us. You don't interact with people who have to go to work every single day.
I have no problem with Bernie and all the things he's saying.
And the people we spoke with agreed.
And especially if he's really going to cancel student debt, that would help out not just my family and myself, but so many people.
And as we traveled across the state and talked to voters, we found the reason is simple.
South Carolina in the house, baby.
We cannot continue to have in the White House somebody who is a pathological liar.
At a rally for Bernie Sanders in St. George's, black supporters said the issues most important to them align with the progressive wing of the party.
But number one on my list is health care and access and Medicare for all, and how that would change South Carolina and it would change America.
So when he's talking about incarcerated people having the right to vote, we know who is incarcerated. Those are black people.
An idea they say the party's establishment ignores.
So it's easy for the establishment, and I know that they're afraid, especially after the momentum that we have gained.
In fact, Sanders supporter Senator Nina Turner says the firewall is a myth.
He has made history. There is no other Democrat or Republican who has won all 3 of those states.
A lack of understanding of how progressive ideas like Medicare for all are critical to winning their support. It's a notion echoed by Alex Seabrook, who turned out to support Sanders and says he will vote for him Saturday.
So it's kind of like, oh, well, black people aren't really supporting like a Medicare for all. They're not really supporting like a $15 minimum wage when a majority of black people here in South Carolina downtown at the Fight for 15 were black.
An idea many of the people we spoke to says starts with listening to black voters to truly understand what they want.
I think a lot of the mainstream media is informed about black concerns by their black colleagues and black pundits, and that they aren't actually doing a lot of investigative work in the black community or even paying attention.
This is Taya Graham and Stephen Janis reporting for the Real News Network from Charleston, South Carolina.